It's a powerful message. We have been given by God, not by the government, but not by other people, but by God, the right to protect ourselves, the right to free speech. I think he brought that message home very clearly. Concerned Gun Owners of Bucks County has two missions. One is to educate and inform, and the second one is a call to action. You notice he ended up by saying action. We can get all the education we want and sit in all the meetings we want, but unless we do something with that knowledge that we get, it's absolutely for naught. People that take action, we have a couple of elected officials in the room, and I'd like to introduce them right now. Pat Bechtel, who's our prothonotary here in Bucks County. Pat, would you just stand up, please? We're Dave Heckler. Dave is the DA. He's the DA here in Bucks County. And we have Sheriff Donnelly, who will be speaking in a few minutes. Thank you for coming. At this point, what I'd like to do is, because tonight's focus is on the sheriff and oath keepers portion, I said we had broken our group into 4 action groups. One of them is the sheriff and oath keepers group. And Andy Rumbold, who's a constable here in Bucks County and is part of the formation team, if you will, of the Concerned Gunners of Bucks County, will now be introducing our next 2 speakers. Andy?
Thanks, Steve. I heard about Chief Kessler through the news, and I reached out to him, and I thought to myself, man, this is a guy that we got to get down here to talk to us. So he drove all the way down from Schuylkill County, and essentially what he said, in case you didn't see the news reports, he passed a Second Amendment preservation resolution in his borough, in Gilberton Borough up in Schuylkill County, and he was quoted in an interview saying that he would take off his uniform and stand with freedom before he stands with any tyrannical thugs at the federal level. He's been a police officer in Gilberton since '98 and chief of police for approximately 10 years. He was the first law enforcement officer in the country to stand up for the right to keep and bear arms at a local level, inspiring many sheriffs, mayors, and state and local governments to follow the same course. Like I said, he drafted the Second Amendment Preservation Resolution, which we have copies of here and we'll put on our website as well. It was unanimously passed by Gilberton Borough Council on the 24th of January and nullifies any new gun control laws passed by the federal government by stating that his police force will not enforce them. So please join me in welcoming Chief Mark Kessler.
It's truly an honor to be here tonight. I never saw myself standing in front of a crowd of people that I barely know, speaking about my beliefs, and I would hope everybody else's beliefs in this room tonight. I was compelled to draft a Second Amendment Preservation Resolution for my little borough. My intent wasn't to go nationally with this. This was just to protect my residents and my borough from overreaching encroachment by the federal government on any kind of gun laws that may or may not come down. Since I did this, it went national. Like Andy said, I was the first law enforcement officer in the country to stand up for the Second Amendment and for the people when it comes to the right to keep and bear arms. And since then, I believe it's 380, I think the last count was 389 sheriffs around the country that came forward also and refused to enforce any encroachment by the federal government on the Second Amendment. One of the key aspects of this resolution was Section C. It shall be the duty of the governing body of Gilberton Borough or the police chief to adopt or enact any and all measures as may be necessary to prevent the unconstitutional enforcement of any federal, state, or local acts, laws, orders, rules, or regulations in violation of the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, along with Article 1, Section 21 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, the right to keep and bear arms. I think that's very imperative, that now I have the power to enforce, to create any and all measures, to put together a reserve force, which I tried to do that. I put a press release out for people to join a reserve force for my little borough, and it went national. I had people calling me from Canada that wanted to sign up and be police officers in Schuylkill County, Pennsylvania. So I had to put that on hold for a little bit now, and until I get the logistics figured out. But when I tell you this, I have been receiving phone calls, letters, emails from across the country, and there's more of us than there is of them. The way I interpret the Constitution is the way it's written, and any gun control laws that are out there, they're unconstitutional. They're just unconstitutional. There's nothing special about me. I'm a simple person, I'm a simple man, I have a family life. My father served in Vietnam, my grandfather served in World War II, fought in the Battle of the Bulge. There's nothing special about me. I'm just an average person, just standing up for what I believe in. And if I can inspire one person to do the same thing that I'm doing, then so be it. This is what it's all about. It's about you and I, it's about our rights, it's about our freedoms. It's not about the color of your skin, the religion, or anything like that. No matter what they want to try and portray us as, or myself as an extremist, I'm far from extreme. I'm a family man, and I love my country. I love serving my country, and I believe in the right to keep and bear arms. It's really an honor to be here tonight. I hope that everybody here tonight has the same vision and the same goals as I do. I find it disturbing when we have elected officials that go against the oath that they've taken. I really have a problem with that. Even in my local area, where I debated mayors against illegal guns in Berks County, where these mayors all across the country that are funded by Michael Bloomberg out of New York believe that that we shouldn't own firearms. It's okay for them to dictate to us what we can and can't own. I don't agree with that. I think you should be able to own whatever you want to own. And that's just the bottom line. I'm a big machine gun shooter. That's my thing, you know. Other people like to go out and shoot trap guns, or they like to go out and shoot deer rifles, whatever it may be. It's your choice. This is what it's about. It's about your choice, what you want to own, not what they can tell you to own. It's what you want to own. This is our freedom. This is our country. This is what my father fought for in Vietnam, and my grandfather fought for, and probably many of you here tonight fought for your country. It's about our freedoms, and that's it. That's the bottom line. And I will not enforce any kind of unconstitutional gun control laws. Now, there's 20,000 laws, I believe, on the books right now for gun control, and I have a real hard time with a lot of them. There's nothing in the Constitution that says regulation of firearms. Nothing at all. If I pull somebody over and they're a felon with a firearm, I'll do my job when it comes to that. I believe felons shouldn't have firearms. As far as any new legislation, high cap magazines, ammunition bans, I'm not going to force none of that. If I pull somebody over, if they pass some kind of a law that says you can't have a mag with over 15 or with over 10 rounds in it, and I find somebody with a 30-round mag, I'm going to say, have a nice day. You know? And I hope more law enforcement out there across the country feels the same way. I've been contacted by a lot of law enforcement throughout the country, and I can tell you a lot of them are afraid to stand up. A lot of them are afraid of their superiors, their politicians, their usurper politicians. If it comes between me, my job, or my freedom, I'm going to stand with my freedom. And that's it. They can have my badge. I don't need a badge to be an American. I will not enforce any unconstitutional laws when it comes to the Second Amendment. And I put my neck out there, and I put my job on the line when I came out and did what I did. And the response has been overwhelming, really overwhelming. I've been getting a little bit of feedback from people, in particularly the ATF. They've been giving me a little bit of a hard time right now. I own a couple Class 3 weapons, and I just applied for another one. And all of a sudden, now it's a problem to them. So, you know, they're delay tactics, I guess you could say. I guess they're delay tactics, I don't really know. But I met a very interesting person throughout my course of all this, and his name is Joshua Prince. He's an attorney from Bechtelsville, Pennsylvania, and all he does is handle firearms and firearm laws, and if you're denied a permit to carry. And unfortunately in Pennsylvania, and I don't agree with this, there is a clause for the sheriff's department or sheriff that for ill reputable, if they feel or hear that you're a drunkard or anything like that, they can deny you a firearms carry permit, a concealed carry permit. I don't agree with that. You know, I don't agree with you need a permit, period, to carry a firearm concealed. There's nothing in the Constitution that says you can. You know, I truly believe you should be able to carry a concealed weapon anytime you want to carry a concealed weapon. Mr. Prince has taken the liberty to represent me with the ATF, and he is a no-nonsense man, I can tell you that. So if anybody here tonight has a problem with firearms and being denied a permit or being denied your constitutional right to keep and bear arms, I have some cards you can take, and this man is an absolute champion when it comes to the firearm laws. I never met an attorney like him before in my life, and I've been talking to, for 15 years now as a police officer, I met a lot of attorneys, but I never met an attorney that specializes in the Second Amendment until I passed this resolution. And he is no nonsense. And, you know, as a chief of police, when the ATF is giving me a hard time about securing a Class 3 weapon, you know, Josh took it and ran with it, and the problem was resolved instantly. Pro bono, of course. So. I truly believe that this is going to be a very, very dark day in our history for what's coming. I can't speak for the entire country, but I can speak for myself. I see the writing on the wall. You know, I have a real problem with my tax dollars being spent on billions and billions of rounds of ammunition. And then they're trying to say that we can only buy 1,000 rounds of ammunition, but they can buy billions and billions of rounds of ammunition. This is our federal government. This is my money. This is your money. You know, they're stockpiling weapons and ammunition for the Department of Homeland Security. For what reasons, I don't know. And that information is all public information. Anybody can go and look that up. It's not a secret. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that they're doing, and for what reasons, I don't know. Maybe they just want to take it off the market. Maybe they just want to keep it out of our hands. But I don't agree with that. I have a hard time buying ammunition for my department, and I order it from overseas. I import it through an importer, and it's really hard for me to get ammunition to supply my own department. For what reasons they're doing this, I really don't know. I guess we'll find out sooner or later. You know, I guess they're starting to ask some questions about where's all this ammunition going, why they're buying it. I have a problem with that, you know. I've received a couple death threats already from the left, I guess you can, the so-called people who were pacifists, you know, they've been calling for airstrikes on my little borough of 1,000 people. They want to see the A-1 Abrams tank roll in and decimate the town, and it's really disturbing to know that these people who are so freedom-loving, or whatever you want to call them, are calling for violence. And the last thing I want to see is any type of violence. You know, I think we can do this peacefully if there's enough of us. If we can get together and say, enough is enough. Like, this is our line in the sand. If you cross it, you know, you're going to be in a world of trouble. You know. So.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for coming all the way down here. I think what Mark's talking about is courage, and that's the courage of all of us, really, to stand up and do something and make our voices heard. Next up, I want to introduce our sheriff of Bucks County, Edward Donnelly. He served as sheriff for the last 9.5 years. Previous to that, he was the chief of Lower Southampton Township for 15 years, also served in the Philadelphia Police Department. He's a graduate of the FBI National Academy and served in the U.S. Army, so please join me in welcoming Sheriff Donnelly.
All right, my name is Edward Duke Donnelly, and I am the Sheriff of Bucks County. But before we get started, I want to read something to you. To whom it may concern, as the elected Sheriff of Bucks County, Pennsylvania, I recognize my primary responsibility of law enforcement is to protect the citizens and preserve individual rights and freedoms. In accordance with the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, I believe that law-abiding citizens have the right to own, possess, keep, and bear arms. I will not support any efforts to infringe upon the constitutional liberties of responsible citizens of Bucks County. Obviously, a lot of people, like, with the sheriff, and I tried to explain to the people that I'm talking to, right? The sheriff in Pennsylvania is a little bit different than the sheriffs in other states. We don't have any real law enforcement powers. All our power, or everything we do, we do with a court order. The only guns we confiscate are the ones we have protection from abuse, and like the chief said, armed felons will confiscate their guns. Otherwise, we will not confiscate a gun in Bucks County. And number one, we don't have the authority, and number two, it's against the Constitution, so I wouldn't enforce it. Obviously, we see what's going on in the country. We were talking about it earlier, and I really think what has to happen, we have to get together. People talk about it. We have to get a candidate. I think it was said on the video tonight.